Ow! That was a great start. Welcome to my Returnal and Resident Evil Village kind of review of my crappy, outdated, shitty quality webcam. No overlay, no fancy edits, just one take. I'm gonna be chatting about these two games. So, off the bat, let's talk about Returnal. Returnal came out, was it 2 weeks ago now? I don't even know, time's gone by so quick. Returnal's a weird one. I'm gonna start by saying this though. I haven't technically beat the game myself. I had to finish the playthrough, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But I will say this, just if you want really quick impressions, it's a really good game, and I do highly recommend it. But that being said, I'm gonna talk about the things that I really like about it and what I dislike about it. So, here we go. Things that I love about Returnal. To be honest, it's really intriguing. I love the setting, and same with the sound design as well. Everything about it just oozes, I don't know, mysterious, has that mysterious vibe to it. You want to learn more about what's going on, why Celine is on this planet. It does keep you intrigued, and you do want to keep playing, and just everything about the game makes you, just want to keep moving forward and see what's around the corner, essentially. It looks amazing in HDR with 4K, although apparently it's not 4K though, it's like been upscaled. Regardless, it looks really, really good. Very intriguing game. I also like how the game just kind of chucks you in without really that much going on. It's just, here's the game, there's a crash, boom, go. Excuse me, I like that a lot. I think that's really cool that and especially when you boot up the game after you've done the kind of tutorial, I suppose. The game just kind of starts and there you go. No, not really that many. Are there any menus? I think there is. You just boot the game and then it just kind of plays, right? Which is great. I really like that. Yeah, combat feels really fluent. It feels great. It's a weird game though, because it's definitely a kind of game where you have to play it yourself to kind of appreciate the game. It's more about how the gameplay feels. It's very much a gameplay-oriented game. A game like Uncharted, for example, it's got really good gameplay, but you can watch someone play that because it's got cutscenes and weird shit and characters doing stuff and whatever. It's more of like a watchable game. I wouldn't really want to watch someone play Returnal, so I played it with my mate, and he was a bit like, I kind of want to play something else, and I completely understood, because it's definitely a game you'd want to play yourself. You know what I mean? It's definitely one of those kind of games. So I wouldn't judge gameplay, etc., just on watching someone else play it. It's kind of hard to explain. It's a game you have to really feel and kind of, you play yourself, essentially. So I guess it's kind of like spoilers, but there are, I think, how many biomes? I think there's 6 biomes in the game. Sorry, the music just changed. I wanted it to keep on this one. What the fuck's going on? What is happening? Oh my god, sorry, I'm trying to play this one track. I want it on loop, and it just keeps shuffling and going to weird stuff. There we go, boom. Great, see? It's like doing it live, right? Do it live. There's always some technical difficulties or whatever. So, yeah, it's really good, really atmospheric. The gameplay's really good. The sound design's great. Overall, it's just a really solid game. I do feel like I got my money's worth, because obviously games have gone up, especially on the PlayStation. And I was a bit like, oh my god, am I going to pay like 60, 70 quid for this fucking game? I think it's £70, which is a lot of money. Or was it 60? I'm not sure. Regardless, it was a lot of money, but I felt the price justified it, because I had a blast with the game. I really enjoyed it. Got my heart pumping. It's really fucking tough. But, that all being said, I have got a few gripes with the game, which I can talk about right now. There's been a lot of people talking about how the game's somewhat pointless. If you die, you lose everything. It just wastes your time. And at first, I was thinking to myself, nah, I don't think so at all. It's just the way the game's designed. It doesn't feel that way to me. I don't think it's pointless. There are checkpoints, and you do learn more about the map, etc., etc. But by the time I got to the 3rd biome, I think I died maybe 4 times. And I got a bit frustrated, and I was like, oh, for God's sake, I got a bit deflated. And from that point on, to be honest, I've been a bit tilted, and for example, right, this was a breaking point for me though. So technically, I've only seen half of the game in like actual gameplay, even though I've had a blast with it. I've spent a lot of hours on the game. I got to the 3rd biome. I bought I spent 20 minutes grinding, half an hour grinding, getting these like recovery items or just a second life essentially. And I get to the biome 3, and these stupid robots have these homing missiles, and I died pretty much in like 3 hits. Fuck's sake, I'm just dead. I was like, fuck's sake, what a waste of my time. So I'm like, you know what, fuck these robots, I'm running away. So I'm running away, no indicator, like, there's no like noise or bleep or just like, a thing in the back, like a little red, most games, when it's hanging from behind it kind of shows you that someone's gonna hit you. Nothing like that, so I just get hit in the back. Gotta use a healing item, and I turn around, I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, I've gotta kill the robots. Kill them, as I kill it, one of them gets a shot off, kills me, and I just thought, oh my god. What a waste of my half an hour. What a waste of me trying to get all these healing items or whatever, just because an enemy can kill me in like 3 hits. Now, and that's by design. And I understand that. And I get it, it's a tough game, I need to get good, whatever. But it doesn't respect my time, because unlike a game, for example, like Hades, where if you die, excuse me, you do get to keep some of the stuff, like you can level up and you can increase your health and have things that help you along the way. Even Dark Souls, that's the thing. It's not about the difficulty for me. It's more about I am somebody I am not a big fan of repetition, I will be honest. I don't mind roguelikes as long as you gain something every time. I hate doing the same shit over and over if you don't get anything. And unfortunately, Returnal does fall in that category for me, because when you die, you literally have nothing. Apart from the Metroidvania style items you have where you can go different areas. But if you die, that's it, you fucking lose everything. So unlike a game like Hades, or even Dark Souls, if you die, you've got a chance of getting your stuff back. And if you get stuck on Dark Souls in a certain area, there's ways to go around doing it. You can, get someone to help you. You can level up if you want. Lots of ways to do that. Returnal is just like, no, you either do it or you don't, get good. But the problem is though, and again, I know I keep comparing to Dark Souls, but it's a great example of like difficulty versus, you're starting with fuck all and gotta keep doing it again. Problem with Returnal again, you can't memorize enemy patterns or where enemies are gonna be, etc. because it's randomized each time. For example, those same robots, that's why I got pissed off with this biome. Same shit, got a second life, whatever, as a part of a grapple hook. Now I'm pressing Y, triangle, whatever, to go across. And when I land, basically these robots spawn as I'm using the grapple. So when I land, I'm like, oh, what the fuck? As I'm turning around to basically look at them, I get hit by a barrage of missiles from enemies that like are spawned as I was in the air. So I couldn't even turn around anyway, because the camera's like, with a grapple. And it's just kind of like, okay. Now, if I knew that beforehand and my second go through, I would know, okay, the robots are gonna show up, I need to be careful. But it's randomized each time, so you'll never know. So I know I sound like I'm bitching and being a little, just crying about this one aspect, but it doesn't respect your time if you're an adult, I suppose, and you don't have a lot of time. I'm very busy these days. I don't have a lot of time to fully, play games. I can get a few hours in a day if I'm lucky when I go to bed. But even then, I'm like, stay awake, like, come on, I need to play some games. So if I play Returnal for an hour, and I'm grinding and I die, that's an hour that I could have been playing on a game which actually had progression / I'm trying to beat the game and beat the story. And that's kind of where I just thought, you know what, I can't justify my time on Returnal anymore, because I've spent like 4 hours, which was pointless, because I didn't even get past the stupid biome or make it to the boss, because I kept dying to these fucking robots. So I had to install it, because I was like, well, I need to beat all these VR games, which I can actually play and enjoy and not have to do the same thing over and over. So that's my only gripe with the game. But I did watch the rest of it on YouTube, and I kind of know the story and stuff, and I won't spoil it. But yeah, it's kind of interesting, I suppose. In my opinion, I wish they didn't go the route they did with the story. Well, it's all theory, I suppose, but it's kind of obvious if you read between the lines, kind of thing. But overall, though, I mean, I know it's something I know I've been bitching for the last 5 minutes about this one aspect of the game, but I do recommend it. It's a very good game. It's very polished. It's great. But if you are somebody who is very busy and doesn't want to do the same thing over and over without any kind of rewards, then this might put you off and it might not be the game for you. Like if you like Hades, but you like the aspect, like the fact that you gain levels, then this won't be for you. It is very kind of old school style. Like if you just die, you gotta redo it again. But you gotta redo the whole fucking thing again, randomized, and it takes ages because the runs last a long time. So it's a weird one. I do recommend it though. If you're on the fence about it, maybe wait until it's on sale or something if you really want to. But I do recommend playing it. It is a good game. It's just, I just don't think it respects your time. Which, again, is a game which I'll lead into in a second. Resident Evil 8 Village is a game that did respect my time, so I managed to beat it in a weekend. Now, I've seen a lot of people crying about the length of this game. Apparently it's only 9 hours or something, and I just think, what do you mean 9 hours? That's a perfect amount for a game, in my opinion. I remember when Luigi's Mansion came out, that was like 40 quid, 50 quid, and that was only like 3 hours gameplay. Metal Gear Solid's technically like 1 hour gameplay if you skip all the cutscenes. I mean, I'm surprised that people are, I don't know if it's a generation thing. Maybe the people who are crying about it are, people who grew up that aren't my age. I mean, I'm not gonna tell you my age now, it's embarrassing, I'm joking. I'm 30 now. But it just doesn't, like 9 hours is it's a perfect length. I think it was a good length. I beat the game, I was like, okay, that was fine. But yeah, regarding the length, I don't know why people are crying about it, honestly. It's even got, it's got the different difficulties, got different modes. And again, for someone like me who's very busy and just wants to play a game that's linear, chill, beat it in 8 hours, that's perfect for me. So if you are someone, again, in my situation, who hasn't got a lot of time for games, then yeah, it's great. So, Resident Evil 8 Village. Now, let me start off the bat by saying that Resident Evil 4 is my favorite Resi ever. I love Resident Evil 4. I do like the old ones. I have played the HD remaster of 1, and I've played a remaster of 0 a little bit. I've played a remaster of 2 all the way through, so remake rather. And I played Resident Evil 3 remake, really fucking good. 5, I loved it when it came out, even though some people didn't really like it very much, I guess. I loved the co-op stuff, I thought it was great. 6 was when I was a bit like, meh. This is when the series for me, I didn't really give a fuck about Resident Evil anymore. And same with Resident Evil 7. I didn't play it because honestly it looked too scary, which is really weird because the Resi 8 developers have basically come out and said they made the game less scary because of people, not playing Resi 7. I was a bit of a pussy, to be honest, even though it's weird I say that though. I've played every horror game at this point. I've played PT, I beat Outlast 2 I played, Resi 7 I played like every spooky game pretty much. It's really weird. I say I hate horror, but I'll still play them. So I played Resident Evil 7, 4 or 5 years ago now, maybe a year or two after it came out, I'm not sure. I loved Resident Evil 7, it was really cool, I loved it. I liked the whole, they just completely rebooted the franchise. So I was excited for Village, of course, but I do prefer the third person Resident Evils, like I do prefer Resident Evil 2 to 7, for example. But Resident Evil 4 is my favorite, I love how linear that game is, and it's just a fucking amazing game. So 8's weird, because 8's kind of like a bit of both. It's trying to be Resi 7, but also trying to be Resi 8, I feel. So, I don't know. It kind of depends on what your preference is, I guess. If you're someone who likes really slow-moving horror like how Resi 7 is, maybe Village might not be for you, I don't know. But if you're someone who likes Resident Evil 4 and like how crazy it is, then maybe you'll like it's a little bit more, because it has got that aspect to it. It's kind of a mixture of both. Now, would I recommend the game? Yes, I would. I think it's very good. I enjoyed it. We beat the game, the credits rolled, and I thought I enjoyed that a lot. It was a good game. Do I think it's the best Resi? No. Do I think it's one of the worst Resis? No. Do I think it's kind of like middle ground? Yes, I guess. It's a really good game, but it's not amazing. Do you know what I mean? I do like it, but I just kind of feel like the first person perspective didn't really work as well in this game. I actually think it would have been better third person. That's just my opinion. I think it would have worked better third person. And I do feel like the game peaks very early on. I mean, I'm gonna do, I guess, light spoilers, I guess, going forward. But the game peaks quite early on. The first section's great. You introduce, I was like, this game's fucking cool. You get to the castle, that bit's really fucking cool, and it's really interesting. However, the castle part ends too quickly. And this isn't even a spoiler at this point, because it's just like, whatever. Lady Dimitrescu is not even the main villain, and she's only in it for like a fifth of the game. She's barely in the game, which I think is really weird. I don't understand why they didn't make her the main villain and have her daughters be like, the people of each area. I don't understand why they didn't do that. But hey, I mean, I guess the game was already in development when they did that, slash, getting finalized, and then obviously everyone's simping over Lady Dimitrescu, which is, I will say this, even though it's kind of a meme to simp over this bitch, and everyone's like, oh, stamp on me and being lame, she is actually the most compelling and interesting character in the game by a country mile. Well, her and the Duke are definitely the most interesting characters. So yeah, like it's warranted, to be honest. She's really cool. She's a really cool character. Excuse me. The other characters aren't as memorable. I guess the doll character's kind of cool, but that's more for the section. So anyway, it's a really good game. It just peaked very early. The first half of the game is so much better than the second, in my opinion, which I think you can choose between two areas, though. So when I say half, for me, I chose the doll area before the other guy. I know it's like spoilers, but it's whatever. At this point, I don't think it's spoiler enough so it's going to ruin the game for you. But you can just choose between two areas, I think, before. So basically, yeah, the first half was really great. The game turned into like a weird indie spooky game at one point. And I will admit that whole section was more tense and more spooky than all of Resi 7 combined. Especially since I have like an actual fear of like mannequins and dolls and shit. I fucking hate, especially mannequins. They scare the hell out of me for some reason. It's just a thing. Everyone's got their, like, clowns I don't find scary. People find clowns terrifying for some reason. So everyone's got their thing. Mine's mannequins. I fucking hate mannequins and creepy women. Just spook me the hell out, like The Ring and shit. So for me, I was on edge. It's like, oh, this part's spooky. Can this part end now, please? Kind of thing. Then it did. Obviously, it was very good. But what's weird about Resi 8 is that unlike 7, where it's a focused game and all the enemies, you know, all the villains, etc., they're all tied to this family, and it feels a very personal game, I think. And I think the first-person perspective really works in that house. You know what I mean? Resi 8's weird because it's so open, and I think it would have worked better for third person. Doesn't feel as claustrophobic. The enemies move a bit too quick, I think. There are some sections later on which are very action-packed, and I have to admit, I know a lot of people will be like, oh, whatever, because it's not proper Resi, but I fucking loved those parts. When all the enemies are running at you and shit, I will admit, I was very drunk at the times, maybe that made it better, I don't know. But I loved all that section when all the enemies were everywhere and it just felt great. Have to admit, I did play on easy, and don't judge me, I like playing games on easy these days. The last like 4 years of my life, I'm just at that age where I'm like, you know what, I just want to fucking enjoy my game and just not have to try hard. Plus, you know, if I'm drunk as well, I don't have to, you know, you have to do the same shit. I just prefer playing games on easy so I can just enjoy it and enjoy the story and just playing through a game, which I think, to be honest, is completely fair enough. That's why the difficulty's there. You know, if I want to play a really hard game, then I'll just play Dark Souls or Demon Souls or whatever. I like to kind of have both ends of the spectrum. I love the tough as nails games, then I love just chilling with a game. Anyway, that's my personal preference. Yeah, I really liked those sections. A bit later on, that was one of the best parts. So even though I said the first half was better, it was as a whole, but there was a really cool section later on. Not the section people are probably thinking about, which is very toward the end. I will say the last boss is pretty shit. The last act is a bit weird and a bit meh. There's also a plot twist in the game, which isn't even a plot twist. Honestly, I was playing with my girlfriend, I said to her, am I missing something here? We played 7 together, and I said, you knew this plot twist from the 7th game, right? Because that's how, it just doesn't make any sense. It's not, honestly, it's not even a spoiler, it's not even a plot twist, because we know. It's like playing fucking Zelda, and Zelda gets, I don't know, the fucking gauntlets of power, then the next game it's like, you were able to move that rock because you had the gauntlets of power all along. And it's like, well, yeah, because he fucking had the gauntlets of power in the previous game. It's a really shitty analogy, I know, but there's no twist is what I'm trying to say. And yeah, it's twist in quotation marks, it just isn't. But the graphics are beautiful. The castle part especially, I really enjoyed how atmospheric it was and the enemies and stuff. It was great. I loved exploring that castle. Yeah, the third section with the, I guess the merman or whatever was a bit meh. And I will be honest, the last section, which is kind of like, it's like a factory, I suppose. I didn't think it was scary in the slightest. I just found it really drawn out. Honestly, that part, I will admit, I was a bit bored. I was like, this part's just dragging on and on. And it's a bit boring. I wish the Duke had more of a story and kind of fit more into the narrative, which I thought he would, but I guess he didn't. But yeah, despite my gripes and the things that I'm talking about, the game still was really enjoyable. And I would recommend it for sure. I will say the Mercenaries mode was a bit meh. It just isn't the same in first person. I tried the Mercenaries mode once, honestly. I did one round and I went, I don't even care. And I just quit the game and uninstalled it because I'd finished the game. So, yeah, for me, it's a one and done deal. But, you know, I don't know people's financial situation. I'm not trying to say I'm like loaded, but obviously buying the game at full price was an issue. So I can't see it from that perspective. Like if it's worth the money or not. For me it was, because it was just cool. I bought that and I had a great weekend with it and it was fun. Wicked. Maybe borrow it off a friend if you can't afford it, or, you know, rent it or something. I don't know, it might be worth that kind of, you know, investment, to be honest. I wouldn't really say there's much content after you beat the game, at least for people like me who just want to, you know, beat the story and that's it. But I would recommend Resident Evil 8. There are some really weird design choices, and each kind of section is kind of its own thing. It's not super hyper focused like how Resident Evil 7 was. I think I prefer 7 just because it was more focused, like I said. But 8 had some more interesting elements and cool sections like that I prefer than 7. I liked the campiness of 8. They kind of brought it back to classic kind of Resi campy weirdness. And I do like how more action-packed some of it was, and the enemies as well were more interesting than 7. 7's enemies weren't great. In my opinion, the little weird mold things were just a bit lame. Ethan Winters, despite everybody saying he's the worst protagonist ever, I think he's fine. He's just the most standard character ever, and I think that's okay. So, yeah, I'd say it's a good game. Very good game, recommend it. So both of these games, Returnal and Resident Evil Village, I would definitely recommend playing. That's really all I've got to say about it, to be honest. I mean, I would say something about the music and stuff for Resi 8, but I don't remember any of the music for that game. So, I mean, it kind of been that memorable, I suppose. And I guess kind of similar for Returnal, but Returnal's got really good sound design, but I did play Returnal with their headphones on. So, you know, that does change things. Whereas Resi I played on my TV and didn't have the headphones on. So that does make a difference, I will say that. Anyway, if you've played Returnal or Resident Evil Village, give me your thoughts down below. I'm intrigued. That's about it, really. I know it's been a very long video. I apologize for my low quality and low budget kind of setup, but hey, I want to talk about the games. Got that off my chest now. And those are my opinions and thoughts on Resident Evil Village and Returnal, and I shall see you whenever I make a video next. So have a great day. Thanks for watching if you watched all the way through.